Did he say that? We spoke with Senator McCAIN earlier tonight. Senator, nice to see you, sir.
Thank you, Greta.
Are you surprised that the Republican primary is where it is right now in terms of we're going to probably go into March, the Super Tuesday, or is it what you expected?
I think it's kind of expected, particularly since the process has been strung out, and also there's a number of the primaries where it isn't winner-take-all like it used to be. But from a pure partisan standpoint, I'd like to see it over as soon as possible. The adversary is President Obama, and the sooner we focus on that, I think the better off we're going to be.
All right, well, you've endorsed Governor Mitt Romney, but you've taken issue with his self-deportation stand on immigration, have you not?
Well, I think that, look, what I think that Mitt was talking about was that there are some people who may want to return, but he also is emphasizing, and I'm very happy to say, the humane side of this issue, that it is a humane issue and we've got to be humane about it. But I also, and I'll tell you this, I feel very strongly that I'm tired of the drugs coming across the border and up across through the mountainous area of my state in Phoenix to be distributed around the country. I'm tired of people being held in drop houses and held for ransom by these coyotes who are the cruelest. So when you hear all this about immigration, sometimes you don't hear that side of the story too, which is gross violations of human rights and drugs being brought into our country, which is killing our American citizens.
So how do you be humane, how do you capture the vote, and how do you be tough and protect the country?
I think that you have to obviously place a priority of getting our border secure. And there have been improvements, significant improvements. You've also got things like Fast and Furious, where a Border Patrol agent is killed with a gun that is, well, you know all about Fast and Furious. So we also ought to embark on an effort to try to have a guest worker program, which is, by the way, you'll never hear the liberal Democrats talk about because of the power of the unions. We need a guest worker program. We need to address the issue of 12 million people who are in this country illegally in a humane fashion. But we also have to give the American people the confidence that it's not going to happen again. During Ronald Reagan, we gave amnesty to 3 million people and said, we secure the borders, we never have to bother about it again. Obviously, we've now got 12 million. I don't want to have to revisit this issue 10 years from now.
All right. You endorsed Governor Mitt Romney. What's wrong with Senator Santorum, Speaker Gingrich, and Congressman Ron Paul? Why didn't you endorse any of those instead?
Well, in the case of Ron Paul, obviously we have strong differences on national security issues. That's very plain. In the case of both Senator Santorum and Speaker Gingrich, we have a strong disagreement on earmarks. Earmarks are the gateway drug to corruption. That's Tom Coburn's phrase. And there was a dramatic increase in earmarks under Speaker Gingrich. There was the corruption that ended up with members of Congress in prison, Ney and Cunningham and others, and I fought against it. And Speaker Gingrich called me and those of us who fought against it, quote, the perfectionist caucus. I'm proud of being a perfectionist.
Will Governor Romney carry out your view on earmarks?
Yes.
You're positive?
I'm positive.
He's told you that?
Yes. And by the way, I want to say I respect anybody who's running. I know how tough it is. So I respect Senator Santorum and Speaker Gingrich and Ron Paul. I just have a strong belief that Mitt Romney's background, knowledge, experience, and I believe vision of this nation's requirements, both economically and national security-wise, qualify him to be president.
It seems like the president is now more interested in super PACs, or more, you smile.
Well, you know, the president back in 08, when he first ran, said he was going to take matching funds. Well, I did. He didn't. We're still being audited, by the way, our campaign from 2008. So he flip-flopped there. And of course, he has been trashing the super PACs until he finds out that maybe he needs them. And now the word is out to all his cabinet people and his supporters to go out there and crank up the super PACs. Look, the Citizens United decision of the United States Supreme Court will go down as one of the worst in history. It has unleashed this non-transparent, huge amounts of money that are flowing into these campaigns, and I predict to you there will be scandals. There will be scandals. There's too much money that we don't know where it came from.
Is the president being a hypocrite on the super PACs?
Of course. Of course. He said he was against them, and now he's for them. I don't know where that phrase came from.
I've heard it someplace. All right, it looks like you and other senators were snubbed by some Egyptian generals this week. They were in the United States, and of course 19 citizens are facing trial in Egypt. Why were you snubbed by these Egyptian generals?
I'm not sure the word snubbed is right, but they canceled the meeting, and I think it's because they realized that this situation has now reached a crisis level. Egypt is important to us. Egypt is the heart of the Arab world, and cultural and every historical center of the Arab world. And this crisis we're in is not in our interest or theirs. But our first responsibility is to our U.S. citizens. These people that work for these, quote, NGOs, National Democratic Institute, the International Republican Institute, National Endowment for Democracy, Freedom House, they do good. They go in and they tell people how you can run a campaign, how elections are held, how you have a constitution. They're just basically mechanics. They're not
Well, they're
trying to interfere.
going to be tried. So had you met with the generals, what would you told the generals?
I would have told them that there's $1.3 billion in U.S. aid, military aid, that is in jeopardy here, and they need to get their act together. Now, I was in Munich over the weekend. Their foreign minister said, well, it's a matter for the judiciary. Well, it may be a matter for the judiciary, but in the minds of the American people, this is an issue which, frankly, is not tolerable. And I hope that they will reverse their position very quickly and diffuse what can be a very serious rift in U.S.-Egyptian relations.
Well, as a coincidence, you're going to Egypt in the next 10 days or so. Is this something you're going to take up with them? And what if our Americans aren't free to leave by then?
Well, I hope that I don't have to take it up. I hope it's resolved by then. But if so, obviously we will tell them that what the American Congress and the administration feels. Obviously, the members of Congress are very upset about it, and they have every right to be. You know, I've been over to Egypt so many times. I've known these military leaders. I've known the field marshal and others, and I frankly do not understand how they would let this situation literally lurch out of control, which it is today.
How's the White House and State Department handling this?
I think pretty well. I think that I might have been a little more forceful than they have been, but I think they're working hard. I really think they're working hard on behalf of those 19 Americans and the entire idea that these people should be arrested or prosecuted for what is clearly furthering democracy. They should be glad that they're there, to be honest with you.
In Syria, the military is massacring their own citizens, and you have been quoted that perhaps we should arm the citizens who are rebelling against them.
I think we should explore a range of options, including with other countries in the region. That means providing these people who are resisting with intelligence, providing them with medical supplies, supplying them. The Turkish foreign minister told us in Munich that they will welcome any Syrian refugee. That is an excellent statement on the Turks' part. And obviously the use of weapons, supplying them with weapons, needs to be examined. But it's hard to do. In Libya we had Benghazi, which was the center of resistance. This is widespread. So I wouldn't rule it out, but you've got to find a way to get the weapons to the people in the right way and used in the right way. That's a real challenge. But we can provide medical aid. There's all kinds of assistance that we can provide, working with the Arab League, which I'm very impressed by, and also with other nations in the region, including the Turks and the Russians. I guess we just have to keep pounding that reset button.
All right, sanctions, yeah, the reset button. Sanctions in Iran, and over the weekend there was the veto in the Security Council by China and Russia. Sanctions working?
I think they are causing great difficulties to the Iranians, but it has not deterred the Iranians from their path to acquisition of nuclear weapons. I met with the Israeli foreign minister this morning, Mr. Lieberman, and he believes, as we do, that they are still on that path to the acquisition of a nuclear weapon. But they are feeling some pain now with many of these sanctions, so that's some good news.
Senator, thank you very much, and you have a big party to go to tonight.
My mother's 100th birthday tonight, and it's an amazing and wonderful thing, and makes me so happy and so proud of her.
And we all wish her happy birthday. Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you.